Hello, welcome to Monday Morning Matters live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting Team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier. And now, meet your host, Niyi Dunmade.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast show. My name is Niyi Dunmade. I'm the founder, CEO, Magnicraft Consulting. Magnicraft Consulting. I'm the founder and the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. Welcome to this live broadcast show. I started a series last week, Monday, on when church growth becomes a problem. And you know, when it becomes a problem, if you don't know how to manage it, the church can become stuck, or the church can become hooked up, or there will be a kind of barriers to deal with. But first of all, thank you for hooking up with us on Monday Morning Matter. I'm so happy that you are with us on this live broadcast show. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so we're so glad that you're part of this live broadcast show. I'm the lead consultant, founder, and CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. I need to tell you a little bit about what Magnicraft does. Okay, I love to do that every time so that you know exactly what we stand for and what we want to do as a church consulting firm. Magnicraft Consulting is a church consulting firm that helps local churches to grow healthier through empirical assessments, trainings, and strategic blueprints. And so Magnicraft Consulting's vision is to be the leading church health consultancy that creates sustainable solutions and adaptable solutions as well. I'm a certified, well-trained church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting and also Church Consultation University, both in the US. I'm also your host to our weekly Facebook live broadcast show, 7 a.m. Nigerian time or GMT +1. I'm also known as the Church Health Guide of the 21st century. A very big thank you to everyone who has been commenting, reaching out to us, chatting with us, and telling us how timely our content is and how helpful some of those content has been. Last week was so hectic for me. We had a week program, big day event, one massive event. We call it the Encounter. It has been so great, gracefully been an encounter indeed. So thank you for all the followers, likes, and shares. And so I want to go straight into the juice of the day. When church growth becomes a problem. When church growth becomes a problem. When church growth becomes what? A problem. When church growth becomes a problem. When church growth becomes a problem. Growth leads to complexities in ministry. And so one of the things I want to also say is we should also learn to keep it simple so that you can actually manage it well. When processes, systems becomes complex, it makes a lot of difficulty in terms of diagnosis, in terms of knowing where things went wrong and where things are not good. Now look at what happened in Act of Apostles. In Act of Apostles chapter 2, there was growth in chapter 2. Souls were added daily. In chapter 3, 3,000, 5,000, 4, 5, like that. Multitudes were added. And then in chapter 6, they had a problem. So one of the things I'll say quickly, that if the early church had a problem, there's a likelihood that your church can have a problem. I know some pastors will be so spiritual to say we don't have problems, but there are some problems that are good. If somebody donates 100 billion to your church, that's a good problem. How do you disburse that amount of money? So problems are good. If you are not faced with challenges and problems, I think you are not learning as much as you should. And so in chapter 6, they had a problem where the widows were neglected in the daily ministration. In the daily ministrations. And if you look at chapter 6 of Acts of Apostles, you could see that there was another dimension of growth that happened when they solved the problem by allowing the apostles to dwell continuously on prayer and the ministry of the word, and they set up leaders to take care of ministrations, daily ministration and serving of tables. I'm going to take you quickly into my dashboard, and then that will help us to know how we're going to make this to know the variables that addresses church growth, the variables that addresses church growth. So I'm going to show you one of the things I want to use to explain to you. I did that last Monday, and I'm going to just go straight into that quickly. Now look at this very carefully. I have these areas, which is where I use to calculate church growth calculator, and then here is where you have the what I call church retention calculation. Okay, church retention calculation, and then at this area is where I want to just explain to you how the problems can be complicated when it comes to growth. And one of the things I will say quickly before I go into the details is that if you have 100 attendance right now, and then the whole 100 of them are inviting one person in a year, okay, you are able to double with adding 100 in a year. In the first year, let's say 2020, you are able to hit 200 attendance. The following year, you started with an average attendance of 200, and those 200 people are also inviting one person. You can see where church health consistently happens in your church, it can become a bit messy. And then 200 begin to invite another 200 set of people. You can see you are going to hit 400 in 2021. Now this is just kind of assuming that we have a church retention of 100%, and then you start the third year with 400, and those 400 were inviting, they were preaching and inviting, and they were able to bring in 400. In third year, you have been able to hit 800. You can see within 3 years you're able to get yourself from 100 to 800 in 3 years. Now the thing is that you're going to have issues with discipleship, we're going to have issues with training, we're going to have issues with establishing them in the faith. And so in order to be able to, you need to understand what you can able to to manage as a church, So one of the variables I want to say is the church retention factor. Now, one of the things I would say is that for a church to grow, you need a high front door and you need a low back door. But you see, most of our churches, and that's the reason for one of the reasons for some of the declines that is going on in our churches. You have a high front door and a high back door. And so when you have the high front door, what it means is that for every 10 that comes into the front door, the high back door means that you have more than 8 leaving the back door. So if we have 30% retention rate, what it means is that when you have 10 coming into your front door, you have 7 leaving the back door, and then you have 3 remaining. So if your church size is 200, you are able to get to 358 when you have a visitors volume of 360 guests coming to your front door within 35 weeks. Now you can see that you are not able to double because of low retention rate. And then if you are able to increase your retention rate to 70%, what it means that if you have a high front door of 10 people coming to your front door, and then you're going to have 3 leaving the back door, and then you have 7 retained in your church. Now we're saying that within 35 weeks, you can be able to double with the visitors volume that you had in 30% retention rate to 500. Okay, you can see from 250 to 500. And so you can see the difference between a high retention rate and a low retention. Now the problem with this is that most churches usually fluctuate their retention rate. Okay, there's that fluctuation. That's why the graph is not always constant. You're always doing well in certain seasons and not doing well in certain seasons, but you need to make sure that at least when you sum up all the seasons together, you are actually doing well in all the seasons. And so, well, when you increase the visitors volume at 30%, you're able to double with a more visitors a volume of 840, and that takes almost 2 years to be able to hit 500 by doubling from 250. Now, but then when you use 70% retention rate, you're able to triple in those 2 years by the same 840 guests. And so you can see that you increasing your visitors volume with a low retention rate is not a good thing. It's a problem that you have to solve as soon as possible. Because when you have a high front door, which means that you are going to have a lot of visitors coming into your front door, it means that you're going to have a lot of people leaving the back door. I mean, get my book, you're going to understand the dangers of running at a low retention rate. You can see that for 10%, for that same 840 guests coming through your front door, a high front door, and then you cannot be able to get double because you hit about 334 in just less than 2 years. And so for you to be able to double with a low retention rate of 10%, what it means is that if 10 people enter into your front door, 1 is retained and 9 leaves the back door. So if you're going to double to 500 from 250, you need almost 4 years, and then you need a visitors volume of almost 2,000 guests to be able to hit your double status as it is. Now, one of the things I will say quickly is the variables that we are mentioning here is such that, I hope people are following me closely on here. Okay, I'm still with you, and then I just want to let you know the variables that are affecting the growth momentum of your church. Okay, the growth. I'm going to wrap up here again in the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to move to something else. Now, look at the growth calculator. Right now, if our church is 100, right, and we want to double to 200, so we want to double to 200. What means that we need 100, right? That's our new attendance will be adding up to 200. So if we want to double to 200, we need to make sure that we are adding 100 to 200. And then one of the things is that for that church to be able to add, there must be a number of invites. You must be able to know your invites per week, and then your invite per person per week. So every week, that people that are inviting, what is their consistent rate to inviting people, and what is their percent of inviters per week? And so here is where the variables are. If you are going to have a 100% backdoor rate, you can see that you need number of invites. For your backdoor to be active, you're going to need more visitors volume to come into your front door. Now, if you're going to drop your backdoor rate to, let's say, 20%, or let me even say 5%, because ideally your church should be able, you can see as I'm dropping the attrition rate, the number of invites I need to double will be reducing. You can see from 60%, it has the number of invites has increased to 600. Okay, if I increase this to 80%, you can see it has increased to 750. If I increase it to 90%, that's running at 10% retention rate. You can see it has increased to almost 800. But let us put this at 5%, right? And the invite and attendance rate is 80%. You can see I just need 8 invites per week. If the invite drops to 50%, You can see an attendance rate. You have to increase your number of invite per week to be able to hit that new attendance of 200. Now the retention rate, if it's higher, it usually drops the number of visitors that comes into your front door. You can see I need to understand the problem so that you'll be able to solve those problems as it relates to your church. I'm just using 100 size church here, and then you see when the retention rate hits 70, the number of invites drops, the invites per week drops, and then the invite per person per week is something that you can easily manage because you are running at a good retention rate and at a good percentage of inviters who are actually doing the headache. So let's look at a church of 1,000. And we want to add 1,000. Okay, now our new attendance will be 2,000. So for us to go with these variable factors, 5%, 5% backdoor rate or tuition rate, you have 50%. Let's even make this one 80% invite and attendance. You can see, and then retention rate, let's say 80%. You can see it's dropping. If this drops to 50%, you can see it has increased because the people who are doing the invites per attend rate is low, and so the number of invites will have to compensate for the low 50%. But if I make this 70%, if I make this 70%, you can see it drops the visitors volume that I need to get into the church. Now it gets messier when your attendance is 1,000, right? You can see from here 1,000, and then for 1-to-1 conversion ratio, it gets to 8,000 in 3 years. I'm going to explain this problem shortly in a couple of weeks, but I hope you'll be able to understand some of these things to be able to juggle. I know it's a lot of statistics, it's a lot of numbers games, but as much as possible, we need to know when there is a problem and when to be able to address that problem quickly before that problem begins to address you in no time. Okay, the front door is very active. The retention rates must be right. Then there's another one that I just didn't mention, which is the frequency of attendance. We need to understand how that also is affecting the declines or the growth momentum in your church. So the variable factors are the front door, the invite per week, the attrition or backdoor rate, and then the attendance rate of this thing. Now the thing is as a science student, we have what we call the real and the ideal. Okay, sometimes this is what I've explained to you is what is the ideal, and most of the time when it comes to church health, we actually want to get to the ideal. But you see, getting to the ideal, that's getting the church to be healthy at their peak, can be messy. Okay, we have unhealthy, messy church. And so we're going to compare that in something like the unhealthy, messy church and a healthy, messy church. If you're not careful, success in your church can become a trap. Success in your church can become a barrier or a lead or a confusion, a complexity that can cripple the simplicity of what God wants to do in your church. And you can be stuck in the healthy, messy kind of system that I'm talking about. So church health can be messy, and for us to avoid that, we need to understand the problem, and that's why I'm mentioning some of these things on the back end. We're going to dwell more of some of these growth tips and then see how we can solve this problem. I can tell you straight up, if you are able to know the problem, then you are 50% ready to solve the problem headlong. If you know the problem, with brainstorming and using your subconscious, and using the help of the Holy Spirit, you can actually get the solutions to that problem. And so this is a good problem. This is a problem I want us to talk about when church growth becomes a problem. How can we solve this problem? How can we get sure that this problem is good, to make sure that we get the thing ready? And so I want to wrap it up here from me to you. Please make sure you like our Facebook, your Twitter, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then make sure that you also contact me on the numbers on the screen. We do what we call church revitalization. We help people in trainings. We also help in consultation and strategic blueprint. You have any church related question and inquiries on how we operate, all our social media has been strolling on the screen. Reach out to us, and perhaps you have any question you need further. You want us to help you understand the problem that's going on in your church so that you can able to solve them. I need you to get across to us as soon as possible. Please, this video has been helpful to you. Give us a like, do us a share to your community, share us to your pastors, your church leaders, drop us a comment. Let me know where you are listening to me from. I would love to hear from you. I also want to learn from you. Drop me a comment in the comment section and feel free to contact me. I'm always at the comment section to engage anyone. We do church consultation, training, and strategic planning. Reach out to us and see how we can help your church move from where it is and to where it should be. Till I come your way next week, Monday, with the continuation on when church growth becomes a problem. I say bye-bye, God bless you, and I love you.